Real talk, raw faith, stay unfiltered. Welcome back to Echoes Unfiltered. I'm your host, Sam Stratton. Today I have a guest with me. His name, Seth Mahoney. He was a Marine. Well, I guess he still is a Marine. You got to be careful when you say that to Marines.
It's true.
But I got him on today, and I'm really excited to hear some of his stories. We stopped on some of the same ground. So with that, welcome, Seth. Welcome to the program. Why don't you tell me a little bit about you and why you joined the military?
All right. Well, thanks for having me on, Sam. I'm excited to kind of share my story. Like I said, you posted a picture and it made me think of a thing, and we'll get to that later. So I grew up with my grandfather. He was an Army vet from World War II. And
Okay.
he always talked to me and my brother about the military. And so it kind of grew on us. But my brother was the one that first joined right out of high school. He joined the Marine Corps.
Okay.
September 11th happened 2001, right after I graduated. And I remember hearing, he's over in Kuwait and about to be, waiting on orders to cross over into Iraq, and not hearing from him for months on end, and, just the
Yeah.
what ifs and what he
Yeah.
went through. So he ended up, making it through the invasion. And then it wasn't long after that I decided that I wanted to join. And I remember telling him I'm joining the Marines, and he's like, "Don't do it. Don't do it." He's like, "Join something else." I was like, "No,
Yeah, I
I
tell
want to."
everybody when they ask me, I'm like, join the Air Force. Be smart about it. I was Army.
Yeah,
Just join the Air Force.
I know now, but so I wanted to experience. I wanted to defend my country. This is
Hmm.
America. I wanted
Amen.
to do my part with it. So that was
That's awesome.
why I joined. And I also have a son with Down syndrome, and having him at that time, with the medical expenses, I thought this would be a good way to kind of ease that and
Hmm.
get him everything he needs. So
Well, that's
that was
great.
when I joined in 2005 is when I joined.
Okay. Yeah. So you joined well, see, I joined in 94. So 11 years after I did, but I think I got a few years on you.
Yeah.
I just turned 51 this year, and I don't know when that happened. I still feel like I'm 20 something. Well, in my brain, my body doesn't.
Right. Yep. I agree with you 100% with that one.
Okay.
I'm only
So
43.
it catches up as soon as you hit that 4-0, man. It just
Yeah.
starts hurting. So you joined the Marine Corps. I'm assuming active duty you joined. Okay,
Yep.
so you joined the Marine Corps on active duty. And how long after you joined were you sent to Iraq?
Okay. So I graduated boot camp February of '06. I did MOS school at Fort Lee, Virginia. Original MOS is a 1391, so it's a bulk fuel specialist. So I was at Fort Lee, Virginia. And so after that, I hit my duty station of Camp Pendleton, California with 7th ESV. Probably within about 4 or 5 months of there, they asked for some volunteers, and my hand went right up. And I'm like, yeah. So me and one other guy got TAD'd, temporary additional duty, to another unit, which they were deploying to Iraq. So we ended up with Motor T, CLB 1, CLC 115 out of Pendleton. And then we were on our way to Iraq in '07. So we got there in February of '07.
Okay, so you came in about what, towards the end of your brother's deployment there?
Yeah, so he was supposed to be coming home, I wanted to say in February, March, or April-ish, and then they
Okay.
got extended for an extra 3 months because
Okay.
of how bad Ramadi was.
Yeah, it was a treat, especially
Yeah.
'06, '07. It was a treat for sure.
Yeah.
So you were stationed out of TQ, and I think that's where everybody comes in from Kuwait. And we land in TQ and then do all our stuff there. And then I remember we took some choppers from TQ to Ramadi for us. So did your job over there basically entail just transporting troops back and forth between TQ and Ramadi or wherever else?
So we not only that, we did the troops, but we also would deliver your guys' water.
Thank
Your
you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Mail. The mail came with us.
Okay.
So we was doing that kind of stuff. Ammo. We brought all of it.
Okay. So I
So
suppose all the main stuff would come into TQ and you guys would basically disperse it. That makes sense.
yep.
I guess I
Yes.
never really questioned where all that stuff came from. It was just there. My
Yeah.
ammo, my water, my whatever. You just okay, it's here. It is.
Yeah, we had to get there somehow, and yeah, that was
Yeah.
us bringing it to you.
Well, it's
And
much
it was
appreciated.
about every day we was making a trip, and then we had 4 platoons. So one platoon, 2 platoons would be doing Fallujah, 2 platoons Ramadi, and then the next month we'd flip flop.
Okay. So when you came to Fallujah and to Ramadi, were you guys, well, wouldn't be Fallujah. But when you were coming to Ramadi, did you come right straight through town down Route Michigan, or did you go around?
No, we actually went around. We took the long way. It was a extremely long way too, but we would come in off of Mobile.
Okay, so you came out on the other side of the camp,
Yep.
which
Yep.
is the long way. Because I know at the very end with us, and it felt so weird because when we were heading back to TQ because we were going home, obviously you don't have your ammo and everything with you, and I felt naked not having my loadout with me, and then they said get in these vehicles. We all jumped into Cougars and they took us to TQ.
Yep.
But
Well,
there,
we had 50 cows and 240s with us, so we had you guys.
yeah, well, I knew you guys had crew serves on the vehicles, and that made me feel a little bit better. But it's just weird spending a year walking these streets or driving these streets, and then now you're going through them with little to no control. It just felt odd.
Right. So the reason we took the long ways was because of the danger and the bombs, and Ramadi was bad and stuff like that. But we also went to Blue Diamond, which is right next to you guys on
Hmm.
the other side of the Euphrates too.
Yep, yep, yep. So that was, I mean, we'd go past Blue Diamond when we headed out on mission a lot of times. We did missions all over. I mean, we went out to El Asad, to AQ, to Hit, to Hadith. I mean, we were all over the Anbar province. And I know when we first started there, when we first got there, when we'd go out and run missions like in on the other side of Ramadi, we had Marine escorts taking us out there. That's how, I mean, because they were expecting us to get into firefights on the way or something.
Right. Yeah.
But after a few months, they're like, "Nah, you guys are good." So we took ourselves to our missions. But I'm like, "Hey, if you guys want to follow with us, extra guns are always good for me,
Yeah, for sure.
especially when you see Bradleys or Abrams or Cobras or something like that watching your convoy and gives you that warm fuzzy."
Oh yeah, that was one of the coolest things. We was going to Al Asad, as a matter of fact, and we stopped out in the middle of somewhere, just the middle of nowhere, basically. And all of a sudden, you could just hear something, and then all of a sudden, here comes four Bradleys. But it was the coolest thing ever, man, to see
Yeah.
some. No, I'm sorry, it was two M1 Abrams.
Oh,
They
okay.
were tanks,
Yeah.
and they were rumbling the ground, and man, it was wild to see. It was like, man, where'd they even come from out of
Yeah.
nowhere?
And I always enjoyed having them nearby because I knew if something
Yes.
big was to pop off, they were going to take care of it quick, fast, and in a hurry. So you did a lot of running back and forth. I know you said you're on mobile, but I know we found IEDs on mobile. Did you have any IED attacks while you were running your stuff back and forth, or small arms fire?
So our platoon itself, we found 13 IEDs the time we was there.
Okay,
Luckily, we never hit anything. We never, we always found them anyways. But
that's good.
there was some days that were better than others. There was days that we would do a convoy and the army convoy behind us hit the IED right after us,
Yeah,
or one hit one right in front of us, and now we're on a standstill until they can clear everything. So Um, I'm thankful that I didn't have to deal with that, but you still got your stress levels of
oh yeah.
you never know when it's going to happen and
It's
if
the
it's
not
going to
knowing that
happen.
gets you.
Yeah. Yeah.
The not knowing will mess you up.
Yes, sir.
Now we found a lot of IEDs, but that was our job. I mean, we did route clearance.
Right.
If you ever got stuck behind a route clearance patrol, you know how slow we go. Very
Yes.
slow and very intentional and looking for anything that's off. And we always used to laugh because we'd have convoys come up behind us and they'd be like, "Hey, we're in a hurry. We need it." I'm like, "You can go ahead of us, but if you pass the route clearance patrol, you are now the route clearance patrol." So
Right.
pretty much if they
Hey,
passed us up, I'm like, "Well, they're going to clear out any speed bumps ahead of us or pressure plates."
yeah. So we had IED rollers, of course, with us.
Oh, okay.
We had security in front of us clearing our route as we
Okay.
went. But yeah. So we didn't take a whole lot of small arms fire. There was a few times I think we took some pop shots.
Hmm.
And one of the coolest things was when we called in the F-16s to do a show of force.
Oh, yeah.
So we called in a couple F-16s to come down and scare them off. And yeah, it was one of the coolest things I've ever seen.
I know that would have scared me off.
Right?
I'm messing with them
Dropping
things.
flares, so you don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, I was just talking to somebody the other day on one of these interviews, and I said, I just thank God that drones weren't a big thing in '06,
Yes.
in
Yeah.
'07. Just flying over stuff and dropping it in. It's not hard to do. I'm
Yeah.
glad because we had air superiority very rarely, unless you're in a city, do we have to look up.
Exactly. Modern warfare is becoming completely different. You know, we don't
Yeah.
have tanks anymore, and drones are the big thing. And
Hmm.
yeah, it's an interesting concept nowadays. And I'm
Yeah.
glad we don't deal with that too. I'm thankful.
Oh, yeah, me too. So how long were you in country?
So I was there 7 months. So I was there from February '07 to September of '07.
Okay. So you guys did like 7 month
Yep.
rotations.
Yep.
All right. And you said you went to Fallujah and Ramadi, taking stuff around the mail and
Yes.
whatever. That was your main
Yep.
mission. Did you do many other missions like outside of Ambar?
So now we was in Ambar the majority of the time. So when we did Fallujah trips, we did those at night. And so we was a third shift 1 month, and then daytime would be your Ramadi runs. But so in the middle of the night, we're running there. And that's probably when we ran into the most issues. And actually, one of those was the picture that you had brought up about when they blew up that bridge on Mobile.
Yeah.
Well, they actually blew up four of our bridges that night on our route that we
Oh,
drove. So that forced us to go through the city of Fallujah because we couldn't go right after. Because when we would leave
okay.
TQ, we went out past the pyramids, and then we would go through Pancake Village. And then we'd come up to a T road, and we'd always turn right, but there's a bridge over a canyon. Well, they took that one out. So we had to go left. And I thought for sure this is when it's about to go down. You know, we're about to
And
get stopped in the middle of the city.
everybody I think has one of those moments during their deployment where, well, this is it. This is what's going to happen.
Yep. Yeah. So that was probably my most nerve wracking time, and it went on for about 2 weeks. The Army Corps built that bridge very quickly and had us going back over that route in
Mm.
a timely manner. I actually have pictures of all that.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's neat. I find it very interesting. A lot of these different people I'm talking to, we probably saw each other. I mean, we were
Yeah.
like your brother. I'm sure I ran into him in the chow hall or passed him by at the PX or something.
Oh, I'm
Because
sure. Yeah.
Camp Ramadi, I mean, it was a decent sized place, but you spend a year there, you're going to see a lot of the people.
Yeah.
Our barracks were, or hooches were right next to the Marines.
Okay. Yeah, I used to go over to his little shack whenever I did trips. It got me out of fire watch because so my lieutenant that I was with, Lieutenant Arajo, her husband was also there. So
Mm.
she would go off and be with him, and then I'd go off and hang out with my brother. And my brother, it's funny whenever we talk about it because he's always like, "Yeah, he was just over there annoying me," but he was annoying, higher rank, so I could just go over there, and he had his own room and hang out with him, and
That's
it
cool.
was a piece of home, you know.
Yeah,
Yeah, my mom was always freaking out though.
I suppose you would. My mom always freaked out, and I just one of the siblings over there.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
can't
we're the
imagine
only
having both of
two.
them. Yeah, I think I understand why she would freak out. Now that I have kids, I understand. Back then, I'm like, but yeah, yeah. Once you have kids, your whole life changes. Your whole outlook on everything changes. But it did for
Yes, it
me.
does. Yeah,
So you spent 7 months. Was it just one deployment you went over there for the 7 months?
yeah. I just did the one.
Okay.
I'll kind of get to that, but let me go back to you was asking about doing other missions.
Hmm.
So there was a time during that period when they took us to Fallujah, and we like lived at Fallujah for 3 or 4 weeks, and we just lived in the tents, and we did different missions. We did smaller fobs outside of Ramadi and Fallujah there, like Fob Legion, and I think Fob Barney might have been one of them. Some of them were named after the Simpsons, I remember. But
Yeah.
yeah, so we did that, and then that was about the extent. I mean, just convoys,
Yeah.
bringing water and mail.
Every cog is important.
Yeah.
That's for sure. You get a bunch of troops that don't get any mail, they get a little cranky.
Oh
Mail
yeah, yeah,
mail call's the best time of the day.
yeah. It is. Yes,
Yeah,
it
for sure.
is.
So you spent 7 months over there. Were you married or had kids or anything before you went over?
Yeah. So I was married at the time, and I had my daughter was still. I had her through another relationship, and she
Hmm.
was still here in Indiana. And then my son was with my wife at the time, and they were still in California
Okay.
while I was in this deployment.
So you got home from this deployment. And I know for me how I felt when I got home, it was almost like just an exuberant, joyous feeling for a time, for a short time. Tell me after that, how did you handle any of the stresses that you brought home with you?
So This is where my story kind of gets pretty crazy. So it was, if I remember right, my paperwork says September 13th was when we got home. And I remember that night I was ready to drink and have a good time and, relax and
Hmm.
hang out with my wife and son. And it was supposed to be an exciting time, but we ended up at a party and ended up, well, I didn't know it at this time, but when 2 or 3 days later, I got a call that says, go check back into your unit with the bulk fuel unit, and then you guys can go on your leave. So I start checking back in and I fail a urinalysis
Whoops.
for marijuana. So, with when that happened, of course, I was in shock at the same time because I didn't realize. I guess I must have ate a brownie
Mm,
or something and not realized what I had done. I tried to fight it, but I had one other trouble where I got an NJP for drinking throughout the week during MOS school. So they
mm,
look at it as a pattern of misconduct, and they started the process of separation. And I fought with a court martial and lost that. I lost two ranks. I never let my pack down. I still kept going and mentoring Marines and
mhm.
trying to do the best that I could, even though I knew. So I ended up almost doing my whole 4 years when it was all said and done. So I did. I got out in April of 2009. I was supposed to be out. My EAS was November of 2009. So I was like that close.
Pretty close.
But yeah,
I think the military really missed the mark when it comes to THC. I
yeah.
think we're starting to kind of self-correct that a little bit. It's getting a little bit better. I think there's a lot of benefits that can happen that we just don't realize yet.
I agree. I agree 100% with that. I think that there could be some use, for PTSD or
Mhm.
anything, and anything's better than the pain pills. So when I got out, I still had a back issue that when I jumped off my Humvee over in Iraq, I had a half of the 50 cal with me and I had on my Kevlar. And I remember hurting my back, but I wasn't thinking anything about it then. And then when I got out, went to the VA here where I'm at, and they started feeding me 200 morphine pills a month when I was out.
Wow.
Yeah. So that
That's
started my whole addiction down the pain pill thing.
I just thank God that I never took it outside of what I was prescribed to take it. But I could see how easy it could be to abuse it.
Oh, yeah.
It would be, and I have an addictive personality. And I knew that going in, and I'm like, man, I liked it, but I'm like, I can't start taking more than I'm supposed to, or this is going to turn out bad for me, like in a hurry.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. So I've always been a drinker back then, especially being in the Marines. But so when I started drinking and using the morphine, it was making me sick. So I was like, I got to do one or the other. So I was
yeah,
like, well, I'm in pain. And then I ended up having a back surgery through the VA after that. And then I got told that I was not service connected after that because of my other than honorable discharge.
uh,
So I fought with them. I still fight with them. I just eventually stopped going to them and finally
now if
got
you
my
get
back
an other than
fixed.
honorable, can you still collect your benefits?
No, I get 0%. So I can go to the VA and be taken care of I got PTSD, my left foot and my back, but
Hmm.
I get no monetary anything because of the OTH. And I've tried to get that overturned. I've exhausted a lot of stuff, and it gets frustrating. And then I just kind of walk away from it.
Yeah, coming home's harder than war. I don't think we realize that, but a lot of times I think coming home is harder than being there.
Yeah. Yep. You're right.
We have that honeymoon. That's where I was looking for before. We have that honeymoon period when we first get home, but all of a sudden for me anyway, there was like a switch that flipped, and it's like, okay, I'm not okay with this anymore. I don't want to talk about this anymore. And that's when I kind of started shutting down and crawling back into myself. And it wasn't until years later that I started looking for help.
Yeah.
So for you, how did that process go for you?
So the drugs in 2009, so 10, 11, and 12, 10 to 14, I just went off the ball. I started getting into meth and
Mm,
cocaine. I was doing anything and everything. Eventually, I ended up picking up a second DUI and for drinking, and then possession of marijuana. I had tons of charges, but at this time, because of my addiction, my ex-wife and she stole some checks. I went and cashed them. And then back in it was 2013, I ended up having a 12 felony warrant for my arrest, and ended up in jail over that. Went through drug court, failed that, and did 3.5 years in prison for over that.
Hmm.
So that was my adjustment. That was when I really had the time. It took me a while because it's prison, but after that second year, I really got with God and started understanding. I had my grandma as a prayer warrior that always
Uh-huh.
had my back. And when I got out in 2017, it was a whole different me. I've changed anything and everything I can. I'm
Isn't it
willing to
amazing
share
what
my.
God can do?
You're right, amen. My wife is that I met now. So my ex-wife, my son's mom, had passed away in 2019 from a drug overdose, and so I met my wife now, and I feel like God put us together for, we're going on 8 years of marriage, but where she's really helped me along the way.
Amen.
Her whole family's involved with church and God, and it
That's
was
awesome.
like it was. I think this is where I'm supposed to be. This is it. Cut everybody off because none of those people. The only people that reached out to me while I was in prison were two people that I met in the military. One of them I served with in Iraq. He got concerned and hunted my mom down. And then the
Yeah.
other one was another guy that he was in the Navy, but I met him at the corner or at the country store at Camp Pendleton. He used to work there. But those were the only two people out of even supposed friends that you have. So
Yeah.
that really made me open up my eyes to changing, people, places, and things.
Yep. I know my wife told me throughout these years, and a little bit about me. I wasn't married when I was over there. I've known my wife since I was 4 years old, but we started dating while I was in Iraq when I came home on leave. And to have her in my corner after I got home, just to put up with my garbage and to continually pray for me and to be the rocket that I needed. God was like, oh, this is who you need. This is where they need to be. And this is how it's going to work out. And it has. She's
That's awesome. Yeah, my wife. So the funny thing was when we got to talking, of course I was on house arrest. So I was like, if you want to meet me, because we didn't even know each other. She just popped up on Facebook, people and she's like, I've never known this guy, and she was drinking then. She's like, I'm gonna add him. We got mutual friends. Well, then she went and deleted all the guys except for me. And then when we finally met, she's 1 year, 1 day old, 1 year, 1 month, 1 day older than me. And when we went to go get married. Our divorce dates from when we left our exes were 1 year, 1 month, and 1 day. So I said, well, this 111 thing is really
yeah,
pointing in the direction of we need to be together.
yeah, yeah. Wow. The Lord works in mysterious ways.
That's right. Amen.
So tell me a little bit about your transformation while you were in jail or prison. Tell me a little bit about how you came about. You said about 2 years in, there was a change.
Yeah, so the first year and a half or so, I was in quite a depressed. I was ready to be over. I was ready to be done with life. I suffer with PTSD too, so I have had two suicide attempts, and that one could be distinguished as a third. But there I was just like, I have 7.5 years over my head. That's a long time. I just don't think I can do this. I have nothing. I've burned all my bridges, but my family was always still had my back. And finally, I started getting a purpose in there and started doing stuff, reading the Bible, being involved in classes to better myself, even though some of them weren't the best classes. I mean, you get what you want to get. So if you want
Yep.
to learn something, you're going to learn it.
Yep.
And so I changed my mindset. After the 3.5 years, one day my mom was called, or I called her, and she's like, yeah, you're getting out. And I was like, no, I ain't. She's like, yeah, you are. They called and was telling us what we have to do and checking to make sure we had a landline. So she actually knew before I did. And then the next day I got the letter saying that, my out date. And I was like, well, God is good because I'm getting out early now.
Amen.
So
Yep. I sign all my books with the same verse. When I somebody asked me to sign a book, it's Psalm 34:18. It said, "The Lord is near to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. And I think
Amen.
that could probably go to your situation, to my situation, to many vet situations.
Yes.
Just know that the Lord is near. And if you're
Amen.
hurting and you're having thoughts of harming yourself or anything like that, and I say this almost every time, turn off this stupid podcast. If you're a veteran, dial 988, press 1, get some help.
Yes.
Talk to your friends, talk to your spouse, talk to your parents. If you don't have that, talk to your dog. Get the words out of your mouth.
Yep.
There's something therapeutic about speaking what's happening,
Yes.
because at that point it's out of your brain. It's no longer stuck in your head. You brought it into the light. Now, once you
Yep.
brought it into the light, you can deal with it.
I agree. Yes.
And that's how my transformation kind of came along. I'm assuming you had something kind of similar. You started bringing, while you were in prison, you started bringing these things into the light and reading your Bible, and it turned into 3.5 years instead of 10.
Yep.
So after that, you leave, you go home, and are you married at this time,
No.
or you met your
So
wife after
that's
that?
I met her right after. I was probably like 4 days after I got out of prison. We actually met.
Okay.
Yep. So I was fresh out.
Yeah.
But yeah, we clicked together, and but I want to bring up, so the attempts that I had, that I know you said you just went to a buddy of yours not long ago. I've lost more of my friends, you know, after this fact. And I look back now and I'm like, man, if I would have did that then, I'd be missing out on what's going on now.
Yep.
Like, even though at that moment you don't feel like it's there, but I promise God will be there and you'll always make it through with him. It's just a valley.
It is, and a lot of people, and I'd have to think, if somebody goes to that extent, they're at the point where they think there is no more way out. They're stuck.
Yeah.
But listen, and I'm sure he'll tell you, Seth will tell you the same thing. You're not stuck. There is light at the end of the tunnel, but you got to go for it. It's not just going to come to you. You need to go to the light.
I got this shirt on, which is my corpsman. He was my Navy corpsman that rode in my Humvee.
Okay.
His dad, I've never met his dad, Joe Cook, but he's put in the first PTSD memorial in Boston, Massachusetts. And
Really?
it's in honor of his son, Tim Cook, which is who I served with. So he's doing everything that he can to try to bring this awareness about this PTSD and try to bring that 22 number down.
Amen.
Yep.
And it's really, I know some people have said it's been therapeutic to come on here and talk, but I can't tell you what it's done for me. It's been amazing. I mean,
I appreciate
God
you
has
doing
been
this
there every step of the
because,
way, and talking to guys like you and hearing your stories, I mean, it just further cements my belief that this is the way we need to go. We need to reach out to each other. We need to give each other a hand up.
yep. If you look at it in that point of view with veterans, you also have it with, you have alcohol and drugs, AA and NA are the same way. You got the same, everybody can relate to each other. And,
Yeah.
it makes it easier because they're going through the same thing that you're going through.
I
You're
don't know
not
if
alone.
you've heard this one, but a previous episode that came out right after Christmas was with my aunt, who was about a 4-decade alcoholic and narcotic user, and she talks about her testimony and how she's finally got free from it. So yeah, talking like you were just saying,
Yeah.
trauma is not just military. It's not
No.
just first responders. There's trauma everywhere.
Yeah.
And this show mainly talks to veterans and first responders because that was my life. But that's not what this is about. It's not just about us. It's just about trauma, healing, and helping each other. You
Amen.
don't have to be a vet to enjoy this, I hope.
Nope. No, you don't.
So what are you doing with your life nowadays? Post Marine, post prison, post 8 years of marriage.
So nowadays, basically, I'm a service manager for electric motors. I rebuild electric motors and gearboxes, pumps,
Okay.
do the service work, alignments. I love what I do. It's the best job I've ever had. It took a while to get to this point because even my boss now would tell you he would not have hired me because of my background. And, but once he met me, he's like, I would never look back. He's like, I'm so glad that I have you. So
Yeah.
I'm thankful and appreciative of them and getting me on. And I've been there for 6 years now, but I'm basically a jack of all trades. I can do construction and all that, but I don't want to do construction the rest of my life.
Yeah.
I'm getting old and my body hurts.
Yes.
So I just had neck surgery this last let's see here, September.
Oh,
So I had to have two fused neck vertebrae, and then I've
Mm.
had three fused in my back from military. It takes a toll on you.
Oh yeah. I mean, besides the vehicles and the gear and the walking and everything else you do, then you got to add in, the explosion, the running,
Right.
jumping, the diving,
Yep.
everything that's going to happen while you're out there. It's going to take a toll on your body. I
Yep.
remember when I first started feeling those pains, I'm like, wow, what's going on? And then I realized, oh no, it's just because I turned 30. That's when pains just start staying with you. They just don't go away
Right.
like when you're in your 20s.
Yeah. 40 was mine. As soon as I hit that 40 mark, it was just like my body's slowly. I mean, I still feel good. Don't get me wrong, but the aches and pains are a little bit worse.
You just get used to dealing with them.
Yeah.
They become part of your day. They just
Yep.
become part of your day, which
Yes,
sucks, but
sir.
that's what
Yeah.
happens.
That's true.
Okay, so you're working in rebuilding pumps and stuff right now. What are your hobbies? What do you like to do to get when you need to get your mind off of whatever's going on? What do you lean back on?
We're pretty close with family. We do a lot of family stuff, hanging around with the kids and I got a grandkid, spending time with her. So, I mean, hobbies, I still like to play sports, and I keep telling myself that I'm going to get up and start working out again, but that's, working
I
40
do the same
to
thing.
60, working 40 to 60 hours a week sometimes. So it's like, I'd rather just watch the Olympics today or
Yeah, I
do
got no
whatever.
excuse. I'm retired. I could do it. I just don't.
Nice. Well, hey, congratulations.
Yeah, I retired at 39 years old from the police department
It's
after
awesome.
after Iraq. I was starting to notice some memory issues. And I was going to ask you about that too. Have you noticed any short-term memory issues since you've been
I
home, or
No, I don't feel like I have. I don't think anybody else would notice. I don't think I have, no.
okay?
But I know people that have. I got buddies that I still talk to, and they go through this memory thing and
Mhm.
other issues.
I got a buddy of mine who I was in Iraq with, who's if he goes to teach a class, sometimes at the beginning he'll tell the people, "Listen, I may get halfway through this class and completely forget what I was talking about and kind of space out. So just give me a minute, I'll be back." But that's how I am sometimes. Like even during these interviews, at times I'll be talking to somebody and I'll be mid sentence, and because my brain is trying to think of these 20 different things that are going on, and I'm like, oh, "Crap, which one was I on?" And
Yeah,
I just forget.
yeah.
But that's the worst
I
thing that
think
happens
that
to me. I'll be okay.
this job that I have kind of keeps my focus pretty good on trying to remember, how something was assembled and how, so I think that's what's keeping my
Keep your brain
memory.
sharp.
Yeah, keep my brain sharp.
That's good. So you have any times from deployment or have any times just from life that really formed who you are today and how you are today?
Well, I just think in general, going through those experiences that I did
Mhm.
has definitely turned me into this person that I am right now. Even though it was literally hell to get to this point, it was worth all that pain and suffering, and just thankful to be here. And think about all the people that we've lost, and that I wish was still here, and
Yep,
that I can just call up on the phone, or, we may not talk every day or whatever, but we all have that bond.
that's right.
There's that one bond that keeps us all together. And actually, I did just get a visit a friend. He lives in South Bend, Indiana, and I
Mm,
deployed with him. And I said, dude, we live way too close to not see each other.
yeah.
So when I was off on my surgery, I made a trip up there to actually visit and meet his kids and his wife, and
Okay.
spend some time with him and see what he's been up to the last 20. It's almost been 20 years next
Isn't
year.
that crazy when you think about it?
Yeah.
I had a
Yeah.
little like mini reunion this last summer at my cabin, which is in the western part of Wisconsin. And a lot of the guys I was with, we were in the reserve, so a lot of them live Wisconsin, Indiana, Minnesota, this upper mid Michigan, upper Midwest area. So it's not as hard to get together as somebody like you. I'm assuming your guys came from all over.
Yeah.
Probably a
Yeah.
little harder
That
to get dudes
Hawaii,
together.
Hawaii, Washington,
Hmm.
Texas, Florida, they're everywhere.
Yeah.
So yeah, we talk about it, but we have a little group text. I started a group text because I had lost another guy from Bulk Fuel Company, and it made me think. I'm like, why are we not checking on each other? Or
Hmm.
so I started a group message, and and we all contact, talk
I
on
got the same
there,
thing
and
with a big group of guys I was with. We got a group text, and then
that's
like I said,
awesome.
we got together at the cabin. And what was really cool, like you said, it's been almost 20 years. What was really cool is some of these guys I haven't seen in a decade, but we all just picked up like we were in Iraq
Right where
yesterday,
you left off. Yeah.
right where we left off. I mean, ripping on each other, having fun,
Yeah.
joking around. It was great. It was great.
Yeah, we all got a little bit more gray hair, but that's about it.
Yeah,
Maybe a little bit more weight than what we had, but
yeah. I was the old guy in my squad. I mean, I was a squad leader, but I was 31 at the time, 31, 32 while I was over there. And I think my next oldest guy was like 21, 22 maybe.
really.
So yeah. So now all those guys are older than I was when we were there, and they still call me old. I don't get it.
Yeah. See, I was one of the older ones because I had joined. Let's see, I graduated in 2001 and joined in '05. So when I went in, all them kids were right out of high school. I had a little bit more experience, but yeah, we all just hit it off, just like we were still there. But I was a fire team leader over there too, so I had a couple Marines, but I was only an E3,
Okay.
doing an E4 billet.
I think I was a E6 when I was in Iraq.
He's
Actually, I got out as a six because I got
I, g-
married.
I
That was it.
I got out as an E1 because the court martial took two
Mm,
ranks from me. So I was a private with my ribbon stack of that.
that's great.
So I'd
I
run
saw.
around, everybody look at me. I'm got more ribbons than most of the corporals and sergeants
Mhm.
there. And
Yep. Yeah, I saw a picture the other day. It was an older guy who had his uniform on. It was probably some celebration of whatever day. It looked like a World War II vet. An older picture, but he was wearing E2, so just mosquito wings for us.
yep,
And his chest was just, and then his service time and service marks just slashes everywhere. And I'm like, wow,
really.
that tells a story. You get out of the E1 with all those ribbons and all that time, you did something dumb.
Yeah, exactly.
There's something worth telling a story about. My uncle,
Yep.
my great uncle, was the same way. He spent 4 years and got out as an E1.
That's
It's hard to
awesome.
do.
I mean,
It's hard to do.
yeah, it is. And yeah, I did it because I thought, of course, I didn't reach out to my brother at the time. He was down in San Diego. I probably could have reached out to him and I got some advice from him, but I was like, oh, I can handle this. So I was like, I'm just going to go to court martial because I can get they call it a separation board, and
Hmm.
it's three Marines higher rank, and they can decide on suspending that other than honorable discharge. So I had character witnesses trying to, vouch for me to help keep me in to suspend that and let me get out with a general. But it
Yeah,
didn't work out in my favor, and I should have just went with an NJP, and that court martial wouldn't have hit me so hard, which might be why it's so hard to overturn it now, to try to get disability money.
yeah.
But
Write a letter to the president. Maybe he'll do some work.
yeah, he might.
I sent him
I
one of my
need.
books actually, but I never heard anything back. I thought, man, maybe he'd like to read it. I don't know.
He might. Yeah.
Yeah, I sent one to him. I sent one to Hegseth. I sent one to I'm gonna screw up. Sinise, Lieutenant Dan
Senate.
from Fort.
Senate. Yeah.
Yeah, because he does a
Gary
lot of stuff for
Sinesis.
veterans. However you say his last name, I sent him a book. He,
Sinesis.
he does so much for veterans.
Yeah.
I thought it would be neat if he read it.
That's
So
awesome. Yeah. Our church was doing we used to do the Veterans Day program, and we would feed, bring in all the older veterans. That was a good time. We ran that for about 4 or 5 years, and I really enjoyed doing that because all the old guys come in and then they just giving each other crap, and oh, it's so fun. But we always
yeah,
had a blast. Yeah.
yeah, it is a good time. Good time watching those old guys get together because
Oh yeah.
they were just as immature and probably still are as we are. When you get a lot of veterans, especially the enlisted ones, level of immaturity that you just carry with you.
Yep.
And it's not immaturity as in you can't do serious things. It's just we like to have a little more fun. We like to be a
Right.
little more silly, a little more stupid.
Yep.
Makes life more interesting.
Yeah, it does. Yes, it does. And I was lucky to make it through pretty safe. But I want to go back to the Fallujah, when we
Sure.
was being forced through the city of Fallujah. So our fourth platoon, which was our reserve platoon, they were out of Las Vegas. They were attached to us. So it was three of the active duty and then them. But they was making a trip, and we had one guy actually get shot through his arm during that time. And I can't remember exactly. I'd have to look up his name, but he's actually a congressman now over there in Vegas.
Really?
Yeah. I've been seeing all of his stuff. I'm like, that's awesome. My mom and I had me and my brother both over in Iraq at the same time. And I still have a letter from him in there saying, if you end up coming to Iraq, don't come to Ramadi. Of course, I don't have a choice. But of course I have no idea where I'm going, TQ. And I'm like, next
Right.
thing you know, I'm doing these runs to Ramadi and I'm like, hey, I'm where my brother's at. I wonder what
Yeah.
the chances of running into him. And then the one somehow he found out when our convoy was coming, and there he was waiting by a Humvee right at the entry control point. And I was like, wow. And so every time I was there, I got to go visit with my brother. And then we
Gotcha.
ended up bringing them back to TQ when they were leaving. And so
Oh, okay.
it made it nice having he wasn't the only one I knew when I was over there too. There was other people that I grew up with here in
Okay.
Indiana that I ran into over there. So,
That is neat.
yeah,
You need to tell your brother about Echoes Unfiltered. I have him on the program. He was there the same time I was.
I'll talk to him.
Be kind of excited about it because we were both in Ramadi at the exact same time.
Yeah, I'd love to hear. I mean, he's got some stories because he was in the invasion in '03. And then
Hmm.
he was in Fallujah in '04, and then he was over in Ramadi in '06. So he was 3 different deployments, and he was in pretty
Yeah, and
bad
those were all hard
areas.
ones. Those
Yeah.
weren't cake deployments. Not one of them. Those were all bad
Nope.
ones.
Yeah. So he had a rough time. I know that he went through some issues and, but he still lives in North Carolina and works down there, retired.
Oh, good for him.
So
Yeah,
I'll talk to him for you
yeah.
and
If
see
he
if I
if he
can't
wants
get
to
him
come
on
on
here.
sometime and just give him my contact info, I'd be glad to talk to him.
Will do.
That would
I
be neat.
appreciate it. Yeah.
Anything
But
else?
no, I mean, I got a couple of the awards that I have right here that
Oh,
I'm super proud of my Circom. But basically, it just
cool.
states in there that I drove over 10,000 miles, over 1,000 hours, and that I was doing convoys. Just basically is what it runs through, and
Oh, that's
you
neat.
know, proud of that. That's about the only thing other than the mental stuff that they gave me.
Yeah.
Or I gave
Um,
myself, I should say. I signed up. So
well, Seth, it's been great having you on today and hearing a little bit about you and about what you went through in your deployments and how you came back home and where God has led you to today. Thank you for sharing your story. Thanks for coming on. And
I appreciate you having me on and letting me tell my story and appreciate what you're doing. This is, if it's helping you, that's great. And if it's helping just even one other person, that's even better.
amen.
So
That's right.
I appreciate it.
All right. Thanks, Seth. Have a great one.
You too.
Well, that's going to wrap up our conversation with Seth Mahoney today, a man who walked through war, addiction, and prison, and still found a way to rebuild his life. And stories like Seth's matter because it reminds us that the worst chapter doesn't get the final word. You can fall hard, you can lose your way, you can burn bridges, and you can still come back. But it starts with a decision to change, a decision to be honest, a decision to stop hiding and bring things into the light. If you're in a dark place right now, take something from Seth's story. You are not too far gone, not disqualified, and not alone. Talk to someone, reach out, start the conversation. That first step might just be the one that changes everything. This is Echoes Unfiltered. Real talk, raw faith, stay unfiltered. I'm Sam Stratton, and we'll see you next time.